Welcome to Broken Shadows. 10 Christmas horror stories. Over 40 minutes of atmospheric terror. No jump scares. Just slow, creeping dread. Before we start, comment below where you're watching from. Are you alone? Let us know. If you're new, subscribe now. We publish serious horror, the kind that stays with you. Turn off the lights. Put on headphones. The first story begins with an advent calendar that opens itself. Let's begin.
I stopped opening the doors on December 7th, but the calendar kept opening itself. My grandmother sent it from Germany 3 weeks before she died. Not died, before we found her. The package arrived on November 28th, postmarked 2 days earlier. Inside was a wooden advent calendar, hand-carved, 24 tiny doors with brass hinges. No note, no return address, just her handwriting on the shipping label. I didn't think much of it. She'd sent me things before. Old country superstitions, folk art, that sort of thing. The first door opened normally, December the 1st. Behind it was a painted wooden figure, a child in winter clothes, maybe 2 inches tall, exquisitely detailed. I set it on my mantel. December the 2nd, another child, this one holding a candle. December 3rd, a third child, but this one's face looked wrong. The paint was flawless, but the expression was too tight, too aware. By December 6th, I had 6 figures on my mantel. That night, I could have sworn they'd moved. Not far, just turned, facing inward instead of outward. I was alone in my apartment, no drafts, no earthquakes. I picked one up, the first child, and felt how heavy it was, too heavy for pine or basswood. It was cold, even though it had been sitting near the radiator all week. On the morning of December 7th, I decided not to open the next door. I'm not superstitious, but something about the calendar had started to bother me. Maybe it was the way the wood smelled, like wet leaves and iron, or how the brass hinges were warm to the touch, even when the room was freezing. I left for work. When I came home, Doctor number 7 was open. A 7th figure sat on my mantel with the others. This one was an adult, a woman in old-fashioned clothing, her painted face turned toward the wall. I checked my doors. Locked. I live on the 4th floor. The windows don't open from the outside. My landlord didn't come by. No one had been in my apartment. I grabbed the calendar and shoved it into my closet. Shut the door. Went to bed. At 3 a.m., I woke to the sound of hinges creaking. I didn't want to leave my bedroom, but the sound continued. A tiny rhythmic squeak. Metal on wood. Patient and deliberate. When I opened the closet, the calendar was face up on the floor where I'd left it. Door number 8 was ajar. I hadn't opened it. I hadn't touched it. The figure inside was still there, half visible in the dark. I used my phone's flashlight. It was my grandmother. Not a representation, not symbolic. It was her face, her hair, the mole on her left cheek, the wedding ring she never took off, painted in microscopic detail on a 2-inch wooden carving. Her eyes were open. In the painting, I mean, wide open. I called my mother at 3:17 a.m. She didn't pick up. I called again. On the 3rd try, she answered, groggy and annoyed, and I asked her how Oma died. There was a long pause. We don't know, she finally said. She was in her apartment for a week before anyone found her. Why are you asking me this? Did she make things, like carvings? She whittled, yes, little figures. She sold them at Christmas markets when I was young. Why? I looked at the figure on my mantel. 7 children and 1 woman, all facing inward now, all circled around empty space. Did she ever make one of you? I asked. My mother hung up. I didn't sleep. At dawn, I searched my grandmother's name alongside Advent calendar and Germany and folk magic. What I found wasn't much. A single forum post from 2011. A man in Austria claimed his aunt had sent him a similar calendar. He stopped opening it after his daughter got sick. He said the figures called something in. He said his aunt knew what she was doing. The post ended with, "If you receive one, burn it before the 12th day." After that, it completes the cycle. I checked the date. December 8th. 4 days left. I took the calendar to my kitchen sink, doused it in lighter fluid, and lit a match. The wood didn't burn. The flames slid off it like water. The match went out. I tried again. Same thing. I tried a blowtorch I borrowed from my neighbor. The wood didn't even char. That night, door number 9 opened on its own. It's December 24th now. All 24 doors are open. All 24 figures are on my mantle. 23 of them I recognize. My grandmother, my mother, my sister, my nephew, cousins, childhood friends, all of them carved in wood, perfect and cold. The 24th figure is behind the last door. It's me. And this morning, my mother called to say my grandmother's apartment in Germany finally sold. The new owners found something in the walls. 24 wooden figures arranged in a circle. They all had my face. They've been singing outside my house for 6 hours, and it's the same verse, over and over. I live on a dead-end street in rural Vermont, about 4 miles from town. My nearest neighbor is half a mile down the road. It's the kind of place where you don't get trick-or-treaters, let alone Christmas carolers. But tonight, Christmas Eve, they arrived just after sunset. I was in the kitchen when I first heard them. 4-part harmony, clean, practiced, beautiful. O come, Emmanuel. I looked out the window and saw them standing at the edge of my driveway. 6 people in dark coats, breath steaming in the cold. I didn't recognize any of them. I opened the front door to wave, maybe offer them some cocoa. The singing stopped the moment the door cracked open. They stared at me, didn't smile, didn't move. Merry Christmas, I said. One of them, a woman in the front, tilted her head slightly. Then they started singing again. Same song, same verse. Rejoice, rejoice. Emmanuel shall come to thee, O Israel. I stood there for a moment, uncertain, then shut the door. Through the window, I watched them. They didn't leave. They didn't move closer. They just stood there, singing. After 20 minutes, I started to feel uneasy. After an hour, I called the non-emergency police line. The dispatcher said they'd send someone when they could. But it was Christmas Eve, and they were stretched thin. She asked if I felt threatened. No, I admitted. They're just singing. Probably church group, she said. They'll move on. But they didn't. By 9 p.m., they were still there. Same verse, no breaks, no water, no conversation among themselves. I turned off my lights and watched from the upstairs window. In the moonlight, I could see them more clearly. They weren't dressed for the weather. No hats, no gloves. The temperature had dropped to 12 degrees. Their breath still steamed, but they didn't shiver. At 10:30 p.m., I opened the door again and shouted, "What do you want?" They stopped singing. All 6 turned to face me in perfect unison. The woman in front spoke. Her voice was calm, flat. "We're waiting for you to invite us in." "I'm not inviting you anywhere. Leave, or I'm calling the cops." She smiled. It didn't reach her eyes. "You already did, last year." I froze. "I've never met you," I said. "Not us. she replied. But you invited someone. You opened the door and said the words. Now we can come close. We just need you to say them again. I slammed the door, locked it, deadbolted it. They started singing again. I don't remember inviting anyone last year, but then I thought about it. Last Christmas Eve, I was alone. I'd ordered takeout, Chinese food, because everywhere else was closed. The delivery driver arrived late, around 11 p.m. I was drunk. I remember opening the door and saying something stupid, something like, come in, get out of the cold." He didn't come in. He handed me the food and left, but I'd said the words. At midnight, the singing changed. It wasn't O come, Emmanuel anymore. It was my name. Over and over, in 6-part harmony, they sang my full name. First, middle, last. Like a hymn. I looked out the window. They were closer now, halfway up the driveway. I hadn't heard them move. It's 3 a.m. now. They're on my porch. I can hear them through the walls, through the floors, through the windows I've sealed with blankets and tape. They're not loud, but they're everywhere. The door is still locked. I haven't opened it. I haven't said the words. But I just realized something. Last Christmas, the delivery driver, I never saw his face. He wore a hood, kept his head down. When he spoke, his voice was flat, just like hers. And when I looked at the receipt this morning, I still have it in my junk drawer. The restaurant's address doesn't exist. I think I already invited them in. I think they've just been waiting for me to realize it. The mall closed 3 years ago, but someone keeps turning the Christmas decorations on. I'm a security guard. Was a security guard. Hollybrook Mall hired me and 2 others to do rotating night shifts while they finalized the sale to a developer. That was in October. It's Christmas Eve now, and the sale still hasn't gone through. Tonight's my last shift. After this, they're shutting down power to the whole building. Hollybrook's been dead since 2019. Most of the stores were cleared out, but some left things behind. Mannequins, shelving units, leftover inventory no one wanted. The food court still smells like grease and cinnamon. The fountain in the center courtyard is dry, full of pennies no one bothered to collect. But the decorations are still up. Giant wreaths, garlands on every railing, a 20-foot Christmas tree in the atrium, covered in dust, and the music. Someone left the Christmas playlist running on loop through the PA system. It plays every night at 9 p.m. Like clockwork, even though we've never found the source. Corporate says it's a wiring glitch. I'm not so sure. At 10:45 p.m., I was doing my second sweep of the East Wing when I heard a child laughing. I stopped, listened. It came again, a high, bright giggle, echoing from somewhere near the old toy store. "Hello," I called. No answer. Just my voice, bouncing off empty storefronts. I walked toward the sound, flashlight up. The toy store's gates were halfway down, stuck on a broken motor. I ducked under and swept my light across the interior. Empty shelves, torn posters, a single rocking horse in the corner, covered in dust. It was moving, not much, just a slight sway, like someone had brushed against it. I approached slowly. The leather saddle was cracked, the paint faded, but when I touched it, it was warm. The PA system crackled to life. "Attention shoppers, Santa's workshop will be closing in 15 minutes. Please make your way to the North Pole for final photos." That announcement hadn't played in 3 years. I backed out of the toy store and radioed Mike, the other guard on duty. "Did you touch the PA system?" "Static." Mike. More static. Then, faintly, someone's in the food court. Say again. The radio went dead. I ran toward the food court. My footsteps echoed in the empty corridor. The Christmas music grew louder as I got closer. Jingle bells at a distorted, grinding tempo. When I reached the food court, I saw him. Mike was standing in front of the big Christmas tree, his back to me, completely still. Mike? He didn't turn. I walked closer. My flashlight beam caught his face, reflected in the dark window of the Sparrow. His expression was blank, eyes open, mouth slightly parted. Mike, what the hell? They want us to stay, he said quietly. Who? The children. I grabbed his shoulder and spun him around. His eyes were glassy, unfocused. What children? I demanded. He pointed at the Christmas tree. Looked. Really looked. The ornaments weren't ornaments. They were photos. Dozens of them. Polaroids, faded and curling, tied to the branches with red string. I stepped closer and pulled one free. It was a picture of a child sitting on Santa's lap. The Santa was in a stained red suit, his face hidden by the beard. But the child, a little girl, maybe 6, looked wrong. Her smile was too wide, her eyes too empty. I checked the back of the photo, written in marker, Hollybrook Mall, Christmas 1987. I pulled down another, same setup, different child, same empty expression. There were 40, maybe 50 photos. I turned to Mike. Where did these come from? He smiled. It wasn't his smile. We never left, he said. And then the lights went out. They found me 3 days later, unconscious in the food court. Mike was gone. They never found him. I told the police about the photos, but when they checked the tree, it was bare. No Polaroids, no red string. They said I had a breakdown, stress, isolation, but I know what I saw. And yesterday, I received a package, no return address. Inside was a Polaroid. It's me, sitting in the empty food court, asleep against the base of the Christmas tree. Someone standing behind me in the dark. They're wearing a Santa suit. My brother went into the woods to cut down a Christmas tree, and when he came back, he wasn't alone. We own 40 acres in northern Maine. Half of it's a Christmas tree farm, Norway spruces, planted in rows, maintained for seasonal cutting. The other half is old-growth forest, dense and untouched. My brother Daniel went out alone on the afternoon of December 23rd. He said he wanted to find the perfect tree deeper in the property. He came back 2 hours later, dragging an 8-foot spruce. He was smiling, but his eyes looked tired. We set the tree up in the living room that night. It was a beautiful tree, symmetrical, full branches, deep green needles. My mom said it smelled stronger than usual, sharp, almost medicinal. Daniel didn't talk much during dinner. He kept looking at the tree. You okay? I asked. Fine, he said. Just tired. That night, I woke to the sound of whispering. I thought it was the wind at first, but when I opened my eyes, I realized it was coming from inside the house, from downstairs. I crept to the staircase and looked down into the living room. Daniel was standing in front of the tree, his back to me. He was whispering something I couldn't make out. Daniel. He stopped, turned slowly. Go back to bed, he said. His voice was flat. Wrong. The next morning, my mom asked why the tree was covered in scratches. I looked. The trunk had deep gouges in the bark, fresh ones, oozing sap. They hadn't been there the night before. Maybe an animal caught to it before Daniel cut it down, I said. But Daniel shook his head. It wasn't like that when I brought it home. We decorated it anyway. Lights, ornaments, tinsel. By evening, it looked festive, but the smell had gotten worse, sharper, like pine and rot, and the scratches had spread. On Christmas Eve, I woke again to whispering. This time, I didn't call out. I went downstairs quietly. Daniel was kneeling in front of the tree. His hands were on the trunk, fingers pressed into the bark. He was whispering the same phrase over and over. I'm sorry. I didn't know. I'm sorry. I stepped closer. The tree was moving, not swaying, moving. The branches shifted slowly, like something was breathing inside it. The ornaments clinked softly against each other. Daniel, get away from that thing. He looked at me. His face was pale, his eyes red. I cut the wrong tree, he said. What? There was a marker, a red ribbon. I didn't see it until after. It was tied around this one. So it was marked. Someone else's. I grabbed his arm and pulled him back. The moment he let go of the trunk, the whispering stopped. The tree went still. We tried to take it down that night. We grabbed the trunk and pulled, but it wouldn't budge. The base had grown into the floor. Roots, thin, pale roots, had broken through the tree stand and spread across the hardwood, burrowing into cracks. My mom called a tree service. They said they'd come after Christmas, but Daniel wouldn't leave the tree alone. He sat in front of it all night, whispering, apologizing. On Christmas morning, we found him asleep at its base. The scratches on the trunk had formed words. You brought me home. We cut the tree down on December 26th. It took 3 men with chainsaws. The roots had spread through the whole foundation. Daniel hasn't been the same. He doesn't sleep. He stands at the window at night, looking out at the woods. Yesterday, I followed his gaze. There's something at the tree line. A figure standing between the spruces. It's too tall to be human, and it's holding a red ribbon. I found a letter my daughter wrote to Santa, and it described things she couldn't possibly know. My daughter Emma is 7. This is the first year she's been able to write full sentences on her own. So, she insisted on writing her letter to Santa without help. I found it on the kitchen table on the morning of December 10th. She'd already sealed it in an envelope, but I opened it. I'm not proud of that. I just wanted to see what she'd asked for. The letter was written in her handwriting, looping uneven letters in purple crayon. Dear Santa, thank you for the doll last year. She told me her name is Mary. She said you used to know her. She said she lived in the red house on Archer Street before the fire. I want a new bike this year. Mary says you'll know which one. Love, Emma. I read it 3 times. We'd never lived on Archer Street. There was no red house I knew of. And the doll, we'd bought it at Target. I asked Emma about it when she got home from school. Who's Mary? The doll, she said, like it was obvious. Honey, the doll doesn't talk. She looked at me, confused. She talks to me. That night, I went through Emma's room while she slept. The doll was sitting on her bookshelf. Porcelain face, old-fashioned dress, glassy eyes. We'd bought it because Emma liked the vintage look. I picked it up. There was no maker's mark, no tag. I could have sworn it had one when we bought it. I took the doll downstairs and searched Archer Street fire on my phone. One result: a house fire in 1968. 4 people died. One of them was a 7-year-old girl named Mary Calloway. The article included a photo of the house. It was red. I threw the doll in the trash and told Emma it was gone. She cried for an hour. Then she stopped, wiped her face, and said, "It's okay, she'll come back." I didn't sleep that night. At 2 a.m., I heard Emma talking in her room. I opened the door. She was sitting up in bed, facing the corner. The doll was on the floor, propped against the wall. I'd thrown it away. I'd taken the trash out myself. "Emma, who brought that back?" "Mary did," she said. "She's upset you tried to take her." "Emma, dolls don't move." My daughter looked at me. Her face was calm. Too calm. "Mary says you're wrong." I grabbed the doll and drove to a dumpster 3 miles away. I threw it in and watched the garbage truck take it the next morning. When I got home, Emma was at the kitchen table, writing another letter. "What are you doing?" "Mary said I need to write another one." I looked over her shoulder. "Dear Santa, Mom doesn't believe in you. Mary says that's dangerous. Mary says people who don't believe disappear on Christmas Eve. Can you make Mom believe?" I tore the letter out of her hands. "Where did you get this idea?" Emma's face crumpled. "Mary told me. She said it happened to her mom too." I looked at the letter again. The handwriting had changed halfway through. The first sentence was Emma's looping crayon scrawl. The rest was neat, old-fashioned cursive. "It's December 24th. Emma's asleep. The doll is gone. I burned it this time, watched it melt in the fireplace. But at midnight, I heard the mail slot open. An envelope slid through, landing on the floor. It was addressed to me. Inside, in that same old-fashioned cursive, "Dear Mom, I've been very good this year. Santa says you haven't. Love, Mary." I don't know where Emma is. Her bed is empty, and there's a new doll on the bookshelf. It looks just like her. We've been snowed in for 3 days, and this morning I realized there are 5 of us at the table, but only 4 of us came to the cabin. It was supposed to be a quiet Christmas retreat. Me, my wife Sarah, and our friends Josh and Emily. We rented a cabin in the White Mountains, miles from the nearest town. The snow started on December 22nd. By the 23rd, we were trapped. 4 feet of powder, drifts up to the windows, and the road completely impassable. We weren't worried. We had food, heat, and plenty of wine until this morning. I woke up and went downstairs. Everyone was already at the table. Sarah, Josh, Emily, and someone else. A man in a dark coat, sitting at the end of the table, hands folded. I froze. "Who the hell is that?" Everyone looked at me. "Who's who?" Sarah asked. I pointed. "Him." They all turned to look. The man smiled. "I've been here the whole time," he said. "No, you haven't." Sarah frowned. "Honey, that's Mark. He came with Josh and Emily." Josh nodded. "Yeah, man. You met him yesterday." I felt my chest tighten. "There's no Mark. There are 4 of us." Emily laughed nervously. "Are you feeling okay?" I stepped back, my pulse hammering. This isn't funny. I've never seen this man before. The man, Mark, stood slowly. He was tall, pale, with dark eyes that didn't blink. "You're tired," he said. "The storm does that. Makes you forget." "I'm not forgetting anything." Sarah stood and took my arm. "You've been stressed. Maybe you should lie down." I pulled away. "I'm not crazy. There are 4 of us. 4. But when I counted, I saw 5 chairs, 5 plates, 5 mugs. And when I looked at the photos on my phone from the drive up, the ones I'd taken in the car, there were 5 people. Mark was in the back seat. I locked myself in the bedroom. I went through everything: texts, emails, the rental agreement. 4 guests, 4 names. But when I looked at the group chat, there were 5 people in it. Mark's number was there, his name in the thread, messages I didn't remember reading. I opened the door and shouted downstairs, "Where did you come from?" Mark appeared at the bottom of the stairs. He tilted his head. "I've always been here," he said. "You invited me." "I didn't." "You did. Last Christmas. You said the words." I felt cold. "What words?" "I wish we had one more." I remembered. Last Christmas, Sarah and I had hosted a dinner. Just the 2 of us. She'd said something about how quiet it was, how she missed having a full table. And I joked, "Yeah, I wish we had one more." I hadn't meant it. Mark smiled. "Wishes matter, especially at Christmas." "I don't want you here. Too late. I'm part of the group now. I always have been." I ran downstairs. Sarah, Josh, and Emily were sitting on the couch, staring at nothing. "Do you really not see what's happening?" I shouted. Sarah looked at me, confused. "See what?" "There are 5 of us. There should only be 4. Josh frowned. "Why would there only be 4? I grabbed Emily's shoulder. "Emily, think. How many of us came up here?" She blinked slowly. 5. You, Sarah, me, Josh, and Mark. They all believed it. It's December 25th now. The snow is melting. The road will be clear tomorrow. Mark is still here. He's sitting by the fire, smiling. And this morning, Sarah asked me something that made my blood go cold. "Honey, why are there 6 mugs on the table?" I counted. She's right. There are 6. Every year, Channel 7 plays the same Christmas special at midnight. And every year, it shows something different. I'm a broadcast engineer for a small TV station in Montana. We're mostly automated now. Everything runs on timers and digital files. But there's one tape we still play manually every Christmas Eve. It's labeled Christmas Special, 1974. No one knows what's actually on it. The station manager says it's tradition. We play it at midnight, and then we go home. I'd never watched it before this year. At 11:50 p.m., I loaded the tape into the player. The label was faded, the edges worn. The tape itself looked brittle. I hit play and watched the monitor, static. Then a title card, "A Very Merry Christmas." The image cut to a living room, 1970s decor, a Christmas tree in the corner, a family sitting on a couch, a father, mother, 2 kids. They were smiling at the camera. The father spoke, "Merry Christmas to all our viewers. We hope you're safe and warm tonight." The mother nodded. "We're so grateful to share this evening with you." The kids waved. It was wholesome, dated, boring. And then the younger child looked directly at the camera and said my name. I rewound the tape and played it again. This time the father said, "We've been waiting for you." The mother smiled. "It's been so long." The younger child pointed at the screen. "You're late." I stopped the tape. My hands were shaking. This didn't make sense. The tape was from 1974. I wasn't born until 1985. I called my supervisor. No answer. I was alone in the station. I played the tape again. This time, the family wasn't smiling. The father's face was tight, his eyes dark. "You shouldn't have come back." The mother leaned forward. "We told you. Last time. We told you not to watch." "Last time," I whispered. The older child stood, walked toward the camera. Closer, closer, until their face filled the screen. "You always watch," they said. "Every year you watch, and every year you forget." The screen went black. Then it cut to a new scene. A broadcast booth. My broadcast booth. And sitting in my chair, watching a monitor, was me. But I was here. I was standing. On the screen, the other me looked at the camera. Their face was pale. Their eyes were wide. They mouthed the words, "Turn it off." I hit stop. Ejected the tape. My heart was pounding. I checked the timestamp on the recording logs. The tape had been playing for 4 minutes, but I'd been standing there for 40. I looked at the wall clock. 12:40 a.m. I'd lost half an hour. I grabbed my coat and ran for the exit, but when I passed the archive room, I saw something. Tapes, dozens of them, all labeled the same. Christmas Special, 1974, but written in marker below. Different years, 1980, 1987, 1995, 2003, 2011. And at the end of the shelf, a new one, 2023, my handwriting. I don't remember making that tape, but when I played it this morning, because I had to know, I saw myself sitting in the broadcast booth, staring at the camera. And behind me, in the shadows, the family from the 1974 special. They were smiling. The father leaned close to my ear and whispered something. On the tape, I nodded, and then I turned to the camera and said, "Merry Christmas to all our viewers. We've been waiting for you." I don't remember saying that, but tonight's Christmas Eve, and I'm scheduled to play the tape again. I found an ornament on my tree that I didn't buy, and when I looked inside it, I saw my living room from the outside. I live alone in a small house in Ohio. I put up my Christmas tree on December 10th. A small, pre-lit, artificial one. Nothing fancy. I decorated it with the same ornaments I've had for years. But on the morning of December 18th, there was a new one. It was a glass ball, about the size of a tennis ball, silver and reflective. It hung near the top of the tree, catching the light. I didn't recognize it. I assumed my sister had stopped by and added it as a surprise. She has a key. She does things like that. But when I touched it, I realized it wasn't reflecting the room. It was showing it from the outside. I lifted the ornament carefully and looked closer. Inside the glass, I could see my living room in miniature. The tree, the couch, the coffee table, and me standing in front of the tree, holding the ornament. But the perspective was wrong. I was looking at myself from the window, from outside. I turned to look at my window. The blinds were closed. They'd been closed all morning. I set the ornament down and opened the front door. No footprints in the snow. No one outside. When I came back in, the ornament had moved. It was on the coffee table now. I hadn't touched it. I picked it up again. This time, the image inside had changed. It showed my hallway, the view from the back door. I walked to the back door, locked, dead bolted. No one had been inside. I checked the ornament again. Now it showed my bedroom, the angle from the closet. "Who's doing this?" I said out loud. The image shifted. Now it showed me, standing in the living room, holding the ornament. But I wasn't alone. There was someone standing behind me. I spun around. No one there. I looked at the ornament again. The figure was still there, standing just behind my shoulder, their face obscured by shadow. I dropped the ornament. It hit the floor, but didn't break. It rolled under the tree. I got on my hands and knees and reached for it. And that's when I saw the tag. A small paper tag, tied to the ornament's hanger with twine. It read, "To my name, from someone who's been watching." I threw the ornament away. I took it outside, smashed it with a hammer, and buried the pieces in the yard. That was 4 days ago, but this morning, I found it on my tree again, whole, unbroken. And when I looked inside, I saw myself, asleep in my bed, the view from the ceiling. I don't know who's in my house, but they've been here the whole time. I work the night shift at a 24-hour gas station, and on Christmas Eve, the same customer has come in every hour, but he never leaves. I'm the only one working tonight. The owner didn't want to close on Christmas Eve, but he didn't want to pay holiday rates for more than one person. So here I am, alone, midnight to 8 a.m. The first time the man came in was at 12:30 a.m. He bought a pack of gum. He came back at 1:30. Same man, same gum. At 2:30, I realized he hadn't left. I watched him on the security monitor. He walked out the front door at 12:35 a.m., got into a red sedan and drove away. But at 1:30, he walked back in, same clothes, same gait, and bought the same pack of gum. I scanned it. He paid in exact change. He left. At 2:30, he came in again. "Sir," I said, "didn't you just..." He smiled. "Just need some gum." Same pack, same transaction. He left. I checked the lot. No red sedan, no cars at all. At 3:30, he came in again. This time, I stopped him. "Okay, what's going on? Why do you keep coming back?" He looked confused. "This is my first time here tonight." "No, it's not. You've been in here 3 times. He frowned. "I think you're mistaken." He bought the gum and left. I watched the footage. Every 30 minutes, he appeared at the edge of the parking lot, walked to the door, came inside, bought gum, and left. But I never saw him arrive. He just appeared. At 4:30, I locked the door. I wasn't letting him in again. But at 4:32, I heard the chime. He was inside. I hadn't unlocked the door. "How did you..." He placed the gum on the counter. "Do you have the time?" I didn't answer. He smiled. "I think you're running late." "Late for what?" "For the last one." He turned and walked toward the back of the store. I followed him, but when I turned the corner, he was gone. The back door was still locked. At 5:30, I checked the cameras again. I watched the footage from 12:30 a.m. onward. Every loop was identical. Same walk, same purchase, same exit. But in the 5:30 loop, something changed. After he left, the camera panned slightly, and I saw myself, standing behind the counter, not moving, not breathing, just staring at the door. I looked at the timestamp. The footage was from now, live feed. But I wasn't behind the counter. I was in the back room. I ran to the front. The man was standing there, on the other side of the counter, holding the gum. "You're late," he said again. "It's 7:45 a.m. now. 15 minutes until my shift ends. The man is still here. He's standing outside, looking at me through the glass. He's been there for 2 hours. He hasn't moved. And I just realized I've sold him gum 6 times tonight. But when I checked the drawer, there's only 1 pack missing. I think I've been selling him the same pack, over and over. And I think when my shift ends, it's my turn to buy it." My family has a tradition. Every Christmas, we pass down the same gift, and no one's ever opened it. The gift has been in my family for 4 generations. It's a small box, wrapped in red paper that never fades, tied with a silver ribbon that never frays. Every Christmas Eve, the oldest family member gives it to the youngest. It sits under the tree overnight. On Christmas morning, it's passed back. No one opens it. No one asks why. Until I did. I'm 34. This is the first year I'm the oldest. My niece, Olivia, is 6. She's the youngest. On Christmas Eve, I handed her the box, like my father handed it to me, like his mother handed it to him. "Don't open it," I said, repeating the only rule. "Why not?" Olivia asked. I didn't have an answer. It's tradition. But that night, alone in my childhood bedroom, I couldn't stop thinking about it. What was inside? Why had no one ever looked? At 2:03 a.m., I went downstairs. The box was under the tree, glowing faintly in the light of the dying fire. I picked it up. It was warm. I sat on the floor and held the box in my lap. It was heavier than I remembered. The paper was smooth, almost waxy. The ribbon pulsed under my fingers, just barely, like a heartbeat. I pulled one end of the ribbon. It came loose easily. I hesitated. My grandmother's voice echoed in my mind. Never open it, never ask why. But I was tired of not knowing. I tore the paper. Inside was a wooden box, plain and unvarnished. No lock, no latch, just a seam along the middle. I opened it. Inside was a photograph. It was old, black and white, faded at the edges. It showed a family standing in front of a Christmas tree. I recognized my great-grandmother, young and unsmiling. Beside her, my great-grandfather. And in the front, a child I didn't recognize. I flipped the photo over. Written on the back, in faded ink, the first gift. Christmas, 1898. Beneath the photograph was a lock of hair, tied with the same silver ribbon. And beneath that, folded carefully, was a piece of paper. I unfolded it. It was a contract. The words were in a language I didn't recognize, but at the bottom, written in English, one child, every generation, given freely, in exchange for prosperity. I felt sick. I looked at the photograph again. The child in the front. They weren't smiling. Their eyes were hollow. I heard a sound behind me. I turned. Olivia was standing at the bottom of the stairs, staring at me. "You opened it," she said. Her voice was different, older. "Olivia," she stepped closer. "You weren't supposed to open it." "What is this?" she smiled. "A promise. Your great-great-grandfather made it, and now you've broken it." "I don't understand." "You will." The lights went out. When I woke up, I was in my bed. Morning light streamed through the window. I ran downstairs. The box was under the tree, wrapped perfectly, ribbon-tied. My family was in the kitchen, laughing, making breakfast. "Did you sleep? Okay?" my sister asked. Yeah, fine." Olivia was at the table, coloring. She looked up at me and smiled, a normal smile. I checked the box later, when everyone was distracted. The paper was intact, the ribbon was tied, but inside, I could feel it. There was something new, a photograph of me, holding the open box, and standing behind me, just out of focus, was Olivia. She wasn't 6 anymore, she was smiling. And this morning, my sister asked me something strange. "Have you seen Olivia? She was here a minute ago. We've been looking for 3 hours. We can't find her, but the box is heavier than it was before."